Welcome to NJ Up Next, the show where we highlight New Jersey-based businesses, entrepreneurs, and events. I'm your host, Tanya Michelle. Today we have a very special guest. Without further ado, let's introduce them. Please tell us your name, where you're from, and the business you're highlighting today.
Hi, my name is Flora Epe-Deng. I'm from East Orange, New Jersey, and my company is Corage Dolls.
Okay, so tell us how you, a little bit more about yourself and how you got into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so I think my first kind of journey, I guess you can say, randomly into entrepreneurship was probably really when I was in the 7th grade, when I honestly my family was one of the first on our street to have a CD burner. And so I learned how to burn CDs and then honestly sell it to my classmates and make little CDs for classmates, write information. If they, I charged them per disc. And then if they wanted lyrics and sheet music, I guess you can say, I would charge them extra for that. I know that is probably not the most legal thing to say. I didn't realize that when I was in 7th grade, but that was definitely something of where kind of this idea of like thinking about an entrepreneurial way came to mind. But what really has been a passion of mine has really been about the empowerment of girls of color. That really is what sparked the creation of my business. Throughout my kind of career, I worked in advertising in the past. I've worked in marketing, done multicultural marketing, focusing on like Black, Asian, Latino audiences, but particularly with Black audiences, I really felt that it was very important to connect and reach young Black girls.
Right.
It was really when I was in high school that I saw a documentary about the doll test, a famous test that's been done to study the effects of colorism, young Black children when they're given a white doll and a Black doll, and what do they perceive as being more beautiful, smart, so on and so forth. And it was just something that I saw in high school that just struck me when I saw how negatively and ultimately internalized racism young Black children were feeling about themselves because there was such a lack of options on shelves and positive representation. And so for me, kind of years later, I worked in the toy industry, was at Hasbro, was at Jack Specific, and tried to figure out how do I work on the inside to kind of get exposure to the marketing space to change how representation of toys look. But nothing, I didn't find the solution I was looking for. So instead of me kind of waiting around years later, I really decided that I wanted to see that representation on toy shelves. And so that really sparked me actually wanting to create and build Corage dolls, and ultimately having young girls see themselves reflected positively, having stories that really reflect who they are.
Right.
And that has been something that has been with me for a number of years now, all kind of tying to this bigger message to encourage girls to be unstoppable.
That's awesome. And when did you start Corage Dolls? Which I didn't even know it was pronounced Corage. I thought it was Courage Dolls. But
yeah, no problem. I know. I have to do probably a better job of, really putting the phonetics online. But I started it. I've had it now since, because I started it when I was in grad school. So that was probably back around 2016. 2015 was kind of when I started it, but like incorporated it and turned it into an LLC around that 2016 mark. I think what was, just so interesting is that I grew up in a household, I'm first generation American. My mother is from Grenada. My father's from Nigeria. So I'd like to say the best of both worlds.
Right.
And they exposed me early on to having Black dolls, but also having dolls of other ethnicities and races. And I think for me, having that lens of growing up and seeing just a lack of the focus on dolls, more options for us, I felt that years later, though I watched that documentary when I was in high school, it took me probably 10 years later to
Mm,
actually when I really, decided that I was gonna make, the decision to create the brand.
okay, and what does, Courage Dolls mean? Like, where did you get
Yeah.
that title from?
So when I was writing down, I was starting to work on my business plan. And when I was trying to write down, like, what is it that I want this brand to represent? What are the aspects that I feel is important for young kids to take away? And I said, I want young girls to be bold. I want them to be fierce. I want them to have courage. And
Mm,
courage just kept popping up. So literally what I did is I went on dictionary.com
mhm,
and I looked up what is the root word of courage, and it was courage without the U. It was
mm,
literally Corage, and I had seen that that word could work in various languages because I was like, okay, one day I'm going to have this brand go international and I want
mhm,
it to represent the same phrase, same meaning. So I called it, I kind of just did a little flair, I guess you can say, and decided to take it from courage to courage to kind of give it this little bit of mystique, I guess you can say, but rooted still in the same universal message of courage.
right. And like, how many different dolls, do you have, or is it just one particular doll?
Yeah, so right now, and I'll show her right now. Here's Aaliyah. It's just so people can see her up close in HD. You can see her right here. So this is the first doll that we have, the main doll right now that we have in our collection.
Mhm,
She stands at like 14 inches,
okay,
has beautiful coily hair and a beautiful outfit. Right now, I don't have her shoes on, but she has matching shoes that matches her shirt and a matching headband. And I love to say that she doesn't have a thigh gap. Like she's not built like a Barbie. Like I
right.
designed her to ensure that you can like bend her at the arms and legs, and so she doesn't break.
Oh,
And
that's cute.
she's really well designed. Truly, the quality. If you see her facial features from her
Mhm,
lips to her nose, I had actually put together a collage of 50 different faces of young black girls because I didn't want to have a black doll that was a white doll painted black. I
right,
wanted to ensure that you really got a sense of our features being
right,
represented and hair. So this doll right now is the one that we have in the collection. The goal is to kind of come out with new dolls eventually. And I have other products we've launched within the brand. But the Leah doll is our central doll at this moment.
okay, and where did you get, the name Aaliyah? Like, why did you pick that name for her?
Oh, because I love the singer.
Oh,
I loved growing up, Aaliyah, like, loved her, still love her, and, I was like, if I ever create something," I literally saw it as if I have a daughter. I don't have any kids. I said, "If I have a daughter, I'm naming her Aaliyah."
Aaliyah.
And now I don't have any, like I said, I don't have any kids right now, but the doll was the kind of the solution in the meantime. I just love that name so much, so it's kind of in memory of Aaliyah, the singer herself,
That's
but just like the love, of that name.
And what other products does your, business sell? Is it strictly dolls or
Yeah, so in addition to the dolls, I also wrote a children's book. It's a children's book that's accompanying to the doll. You can buy it separately or kind of with it. It's called Don't Give Up Aaliyah, and it actually teaches kids about the early principles of entrepreneurship, really teaching them about perseverance, certain themes about family, community. So that was something that I created because my goal was like, how can I revolutionize American Girl with the new American Girl, the way that they
right.
had dolls and books, but really thinking about it with this next generation and the inspiration of young girls of color today. So the goal is that there will be more books and dolls kind of that kids can buy either separately or together. I also have pins. I launched these really cool soft enamel pins that you can wear that have the image of Aaliyah and it says the phrase
Mhm.
because representation matters.
Right.
Then I also have a line of apparel that we had launched within the brand kind of during the height of 2020 called Cultivate Courage, which I was just looking at the opportunity of like, how can I think about having a portion or proceeds of my business specifically go back to Black-led organizations that are
Mhm.
addressing well-being issues of Black girls in our communities and supporting a percentage of those funds for that. So it includes shirts, it includes mugs, notebooks, that have a symbol that kind of really represents cultivate courage. And then the product that I just now launched, actually
Mhm.
this past week, is our new positive affirmation cards.
Oh, that's good.
So I just launched this. This was something that I was inspired by, honestly, by my niece. Like I said, I don't have kids, but I became an aunt for the first time late last year, and just wanting to create something that really would inspire. I'll show you kind of the interior of the box and everything. Wanting to create statements and phrases that really our young kids can really be inspired by and build upon for their learnings was something that was important to me. So these affirmation cards are 30 cards that teach kids important life lessons about courage, inclusivity, as well as being able to build their confidence.
Mhm.
And this is just a couple examples of some of the cards that you can see. I worked with an amazing designer
Oh,
who really just, I built the affirmations and then she kind of really built the look and feel. And I wanted it to be vibrant, bold, and representing different skin tones because I feel like when I saw a lot of product, you don't always get to see darker melanin children on things. And so, this deck of cards has it's intergenerational. It is something that has important themes. Some of the themes of this new product include mindfulness, self compassion, relaxation, things like encouragement, just important themes. And I think the impact of COVID, what that did, especially for young kids, and if you think about especially young kids of color, and
yes.
helping support them in their emotional needs and how to even as adults, how to even address our own emotions. And
Right.
so these cards are really as a tool to help as education for families, parents, educators to help support young kids in seeing phrases and statements that they can use daily or just even learn how to address their own emotions.
Right. And those are good ideas, for children, especially in the morning to start off their day with something positive and an affirmation like that. I think that's awesome for children, even
Yeah.
for us as adults. My friend sends me messages all the time, like different affirmations. So, and it helps me. So I can imagine, a young child going to school, maybe dealing with, their own things. So I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, thank you. And then just a last point to that too is that hold on, I'll hold it better. In the inside of the box,
Hmm.
I kind of wrote a little message in there that can make it very personalized for
Right.
each person. So whenever if you buy the card deck, it comes in this box, and it really is just like we want you to write your own affirmation
Right.
and carry that around. And so that way you can keep the box as a nice keepsake because we know kids throw things out.
Right.
So try to think about how can the box be also functional
Right.
and something that every person could also write their own affirmation to live by in addition. So that's kind of what are it's called courage cards.
Yeah.
Corage cards, sorry. I might think Corage cards. But this is something that we just launched in light of the holiday season.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a very good, and I think that should sell because,
Yeah.
it's just positive things that, that children need. And that's something that they can use whenever.
Yeah.
Are you by yourself or do you have a team?
So I have a couple contractors that I work with. So I'm the person who leads the finance, leads the operations, leads engaging with business development, and then I have a partner on the contracting side who manages from a social media standpoint. So she helps me particularly with our social media marketing, our messaging, thinking about how we do some of our paid media approaches.
Okay. And how does your business cultivate courage? How do you feel?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think the way that my business cultivates courage is that really trying to instill in young girls, especially young Black girls, that there is not a limit to what they can achieve.
Right.
And being able to promote messages, products, affirmations that help bring awareness to that and also help support in their development, especially as they are growing up with so many messages, including whatever social media is telling
Right.
us, not telling us. I think we demonstrate that more, if anything, as an action in what we do, what we say, and like the products that we really try to put in the hands of kids and adults so they know that they have something meaningful and tangible
Right.
to help support in their development, help hopefully encourage them to cultivate courage.
Right. So what is Aaliyah's green notebook? I seen that on your website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. In the book, Don't Give Up Aaliyah that I wrote, the character really walks around. She's from Chicago. She's inspired by her community. They always kind of create new ideas to help solve local problems or just kind of local inventions. And she carries this green notebook. And I am someone who always either is writing down my own thoughts and ideas. I This is actually one of the Cultivate Courage. We actually sell a green
Oh,
notebook
your
as
notebook.
well.
That's
And
cute.
so you can buy the notebook from our collection to kind of symbolize that. And it's just like, pages of dotted lines. And particularly with the website, I wanted to keep basically a blog, the opportunity for kind of taking the book narrative of Aaliyah's character and keeping a notebook, and then kind of translating that into kind of digital blog storytelling, where it's like, it first started where it was like, how do I write this from the perspective of like Aaliyah, like an 8-year-old, supposed to be an 8-year-old child?
Right.
It became kind of hard trying to figure out how to do that through her lens. And so mainly I use it as a way to just put as the title of our blogs, and like, hey, explore Leah's green notebook and kind of topics of well-being, why the importance of diversity matters, cultural pride and having products that respect that, building values, things that educate parents and educators, aunties and uncles, to help support their children and development. So it kind of just become a mini um, hub kind of different just topics that people can read about in blogs, and we call it Aaliyah's green notebook.
Yeah, that's cool. And what is there anything new up and coming with your business besides I know you just the
Yeah.
affirmation cards.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the new things, I'm going to be doing a couple vendor events coming up, one with a major retailer. I technically can't say it until it's November, but because I was told not to say it yet. So but going to be doing some pop-up experiences with some major retailers as well, is kind of really focusing on looking at doing event activations and opportunities, but especially with the new product launch, that's kind of really the big focus with this holiday season,
Right.
is to get it out there, get the approach of what it means and represents, and of course to build sales this holiday season.
Right. So besides your website where they can purchase, are your products in any stores, Amazon, anything like that right now?
So you can also get our book, Don't Give Up Aaliyah, at Amazon.com. We do offer it there. You're feel free, of course, to purchase from the site directly or directly from our CorageDolls.com website.
Okay. And any marketing tools you use to promote your business besides your website?
Yeah, I'm really using social media is particularly our strongest. We have a very strong Facebook presence, followed by Instagram, and we've just now been building up our presence on TikTok. We also have a great email subscription, and so definitely encourage people to sign up for our email through our website. So we're able to give you more access to information early, discount codes, things that you're not necessarily getting in other spaces. And
Okay.
then just really looking at, tapping into how we show up in event and in person, really looking at engaging with local communities in New Jersey City and New York. Um, as a way to be able to kind of build more direct connections. Because I think once people interact and
Right.
see our products in person, because if we're not having it on a product shelf, it's a great way for them to learn more about our brand.
Exactly. And any advice you have for entrepreneurs starting or trying to get into the same field as you?
Yeah, I think I would say that, um, just start to test. I think that there's always this waiting of, like, it has to be perfect for
Right.
anyone to see it, and as entrepreneurs, we are very much similar like an artist. You want it to be perfect
Right.
before anyone sees it, and I went through so many iterations and prototypes of Aaliyah. If you would have seen what she first looked like, before, like, I 3D printed her. Went through so many phases. I didn't know how to sew. I took dolls and changed up clothes and put a wig on her and changed her hair, all these things. But I just started like talking with people, doing, focus groups on social media, go talking to my friends, their kids and parents. And it was just a way for me to gather information to think about how do I eventually create this
Right.
product the way it looks. But I and tap into the people closest to you. Sometimes we feel like we got to go so far out, but getting feedback and research just the people around you is a way to test your idea.
Right.
And I showed up at an event. I did an event even when I didn't have a full product yet, but I used it as a way to bring my prototype to the
Mhm.
table and just say, I'm just looking to get feedback on this. It was a
Right.
free event. It was a way for me to also meet people I didn't know, and it showed that there was interest in the market. And
Right.
so I think going with it of your why, remembering what is your why, and leading with that, people will truly attract and connect with your story in that way.
Right. Do you think it's a challenge trying to push a doll of color? Do you think I know people in our community are more accepting, but do you think it's more difficult to try to
I will say that, like, when I was first starting the business and still now, like, there's the mixture of, like, being able to have the amass like, a lot of capital to be able
Right,
you can't make a doll in the kitchen. Like,
right.
you have to work, with manufacturers, as particularly overseas. Like, I'm working with manufacturers in Asia to produce my doll. It's a lot of money, so definitely the idea of having, a lot of capital to be able to create more dolls is something there. I think when I was first starting to interview people and get feedback, got feedback from people non-black who
Mm,
said, like, why don't you create a white doll? Why does it have to be black? Is the
mm,
market there? That feels too niche. And I think you just have to, as an entrepreneur, you're going to get feedback, positive, negative, no matter
right,
what. People telling you, don't do this, do it this way. Having good mentors, having people who will give it to you real, but also really thinking about what are you doing, what is the purpose of what you're doing for your business, and why do you
right,
do it differently, or why do you do it uniquely, whether it's the product itself, whether it's who you are, whether it's how you deliver your service. I
right.
think that is very important. And so I definitely had naysayers, but I also had a lot of people who also were very supportive. And so I think for me, the idea of just continuing to tap into those networks,
Mhm.
those units, and also especially other Black women, just in general, just to engage in, like, whether they have businesses themselves or just listen to platforms, because, like, I'm a firm believer that Black women are the keepers of culture, commerce, and community. And
Right,
so if you support a Black woman and buy from a Black woman, trust me, you're supporting a lot of people across that network. So I think
exactly.
that's just like navigating through the capital and navigating through naysayers.
Right,
But
and it's also your passion behind it. You can tell that you're really, into this, and it's a deeper meaning behind it besides just having a doll of color, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's really special to have that because, I mean, now we see more of it in stores, thank God, but years ago, it wasn't like that, you know?
No, no, and I think, definitely during the height of everything that happened after George Floyd's murder, I definitely saw an uptick from other racial backgrounds
Mhm.
who were either like, "Hey, I wanna support your brand," like, because you saw this big uptick of, like,
Right,
wanting to engage, and let's be real, things have started to die down,
right,
in that perception or that support. And so I think it's just continuing to adapt to the changing markets, continuing to keep a pulse on what's going on. And to your point, as you just said, like having the passion,
yeah,
continuing to just like really dive in and anchor into your passion.
right. So where can viewers contact you, or like you could say your website, your social media? Where
Yeah.
can they get more of the Courage dolls?
Yes. So you can definitely find us at our website at www.coragedolls.com, CORAGE dolls.com, or as well on social media, especially Instagram and Facebook at Corage Dolls.
Okay, so before you leave, you're gonna play a little game.
Okay.
You chose this or that. So I'm gonna name a few things, and you can pick one or the other. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So our first option: long hair or short hair.
Is it natural or straight?
Whatever you want.
Okay. Um, my hair shrinks, like it has shrinkage. It's a bit longer, but it shrinks. So I think in the winter, I would say long hair. In the summer, I would say short hair,
Long
just
hair.
because I'm
I agree.
managing it.
Right. All right. Beach side or hillside?
Oh, beach. I'm a Pisces, so anything water
Right.
is what I love.
Takeout or dine in?
take out Chinese, but everything else I would probably dine in.
Okay, art gallery or history museum?
I love a good art gallery. I very much am a person who I just went to an art exhibit just recently, so love being inspired by other artists.
Okay, board games or card games?
Hmm. When I was younger, I would say probably board games. I think as I'm older, I do a lot of like adult card games
Card
or
games.
like, like probably like, yeah. So I'll probably say card games now.
Okay, shower or bath?
Shower. I feel I was literally talking to someone the other day about this, but I like the idea of getting a bath, but I'm like, for me mentally, I'm like, am I just sitting in my own like gunk? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that's where my mind
Shopping
went.
shopping in store or mall? I'm sorry, or online.
Um, I feel like shopping online. I used to like shopping in store, but I just don't really go to malls much
I know.
anymore. And so I know kind of the sites that I know, like my size, my fit.
Right.
So I like perusing more options online.
Yeah,
And I
I don't
think some
like
stores are
crowds.
not including as many options anymore. They're trying to really direct you to go online and get, especially as a plus size female, there's just more options online than in store.
Okay, and call or text?
Um, I'm probably because of my schedule, I'm probably doing more texting. I like the idea of a call, but I chair when I try to do a call, I try to like give myself like a good hour or plus, so I don't do as many calls. But text is easier, but I think calls are more personal.
Okay, yeah, I agree. All right, so that concludes our show. I want to thank you for being our guest on NJ Up Next.
Thank you.
Make sure to reach out and check Flora's website, couragedolls.com. And you'll be seeing more of us on here with other special guests. And we want to thank you again for coming on our show.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Truly appreciate it, and thank
And
you for
I'm
spotlighting.
gonna get your book at the
Yes, get my book, get
I
my
yeah,
Corage cards. It just launched. You can check it out on our site. Great
yeah,
as a holiday stocking stuffer.
yeah. So thank you all and good night.
Thank you.
And I